I'm Connor Northrup. I'm now joined by Bantamweight prospect Askar Askar, who's going to return to the cage against Justin Wetzell for LFA June 4th. How are you, Askar?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Good, good. I appreciate you taking time. I know it's the first time we talked. You haven't fought in 2021 as of yet, but what have you been kind of up to? As the years, as this year's kind of been moving.
What I've been up to every year, working hard, trying to pursue my dream in MMA, trying to fight. You know what I mean? Ever since I was a kid, my goal was always just to fight and living life. You know what I mean? Trying to make money in the meantime when we can't make money in the cage.
Yeah. You talk about like wanting to do this. Like I feel like a lot of guys aren't like that. They have different paths how they found MMA too. Like how did that like work out for you? Like what made you want to do this from, being so young?
Man, I don't know the competition, the strategy, everything attracted me to this. I'm like this with everything. I'm not just like this with MMA. If it's about strategy, competition, you know what I mean. It lights me up. So, like any sport, obviously there's sports that I have a disadvantage in terms of like height and weight and this. So football and basketball weren't really a thing I could do. So when I found out MMA and seeing the way they worked and the maneuvers and the moves they could do on each other, and any size could do it, and even the littler you are, the better because the technique is a little bit more sharper. So, MMA attracted me as soon as I saw it when I was 14, 13 years old.
Yeah. Like before then or even during, like were you playing any other sports that like were kind of like you were doing for like a long time and then eventually kind of let go once you're taking this a little more serious?
Yeah, I played soccer in high school for 3 years. I played sophomore, I played freshman year, I played junior year, and then senior year it fell on Ramadan, the month where we fast, the whole month of Ramadan, and I just wasn't able to do it physically. I didn't want to run and fast at the same time, so I was like I couldn't do that season. So, but when I was a freshman is when I found MMA, so I was doing both together, and then I knew soccer was done. I was just doing soccer because I was in high school and it was fun, but MMA. I knew I wanted to fight when I turned 18, so I was pursuing it ever since I heard about it.
Yeah. Who's the team you root for soccer?
Uh, Palestinian team. I'll go with that.
All right. I wasn't sure if you
Nothing
watched it or
specific.
not.
Yeah. No, I don't really watch soccer like that.
Yeah. Do you like? I know some guys too. Like they'll watch like maybe their fights, but not like. Do you watch like a lot of fights? Like, are you a fan of the sport as well as somebody who competes in it?
Yeah. I like to watch fights. I watch obviously the UFC fights. I was actually looking yesterday at Top Odds. I was like, man, there's gonna be 2 weeks of no UFC fights, no Bellator fights, no. I think the PFL's not even doing something for 2 weeks. So I'm like, man, it's gonna be kind of a 2 week sizzle, especially next weekend when it's a week away from the fight and you want to just chill and watch something. There's not gonna be any fights, so we're just gonna have to be watching Netflix or something.
Yeah, yeah. I was kind of surprised that they picked like Memorial Day weekend to not have fights, but I know like for the UFC, it's been like 12 straight weeks or something. So I'm not gonna lie, I think it's kind of nice to have like a little break, but 2 weeks I say is a little much. 1 week I can deal with.
Yeah. 1 week, fine. 2 weeks is a little too long, honestly. I like
Yeah,
the fights every weekend. If there's football games and basketball games, 5, 6 days a week, there could be fights every weekend.
yeah. And let's talk a little bit about you. I know at 26, you're 11-1. You got the matchup like we said with Justin Wetzell. How did this bout kind of like come up?
It literally came out of nowhere. I was just like every single story of how I got a fight. I was just chilling, you know what I mean, playing Warzone, and I get a text from my coach, and he's like, "Hey, yo, well, they got a fight off for 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, against this for LFA," and I didn't even think about it. I was like, "Listen, as long as we got a fight, we're going." I wanted to fight in June, no matter what. What I was thinking is I was gonna fight late June because we just finished the holy month of Ramadan.
Okay.
Literally, I want to say 2 weeks ago, we were fasting, and I knew I'm 26 years old. The years of experience, I knew I wasn't gonna. I trained during Ramadan, but I didn't want to fight during Ramadan. I want to get it out of the way first, and then take care of fighting second. So I was looking to fight in June, late June, mid June. But you know what I mean. When the call came, I was, I stay ready. I stay in the gym. Even when I was fasting, I was still doing a session and a half a day. I was still working. So when they told me the fight was signed and everything was 100%, I just turned it up a little bit. And now we
Yeah,
got
yeah,
deload week this week, and then next week's fight week.
yeah. I want to talk to you a little bit about the UFC in a couple of minutes, but before we get there too, like when that didn't work out, obviously, like and like how long did it take you to get back to LFA? Like was that like a clear route that you want to kind of jump back into, or were you considering some other like promotions?
Yeah, it wasn't a clear route. I mean, LFA wants to wait until now to give me a fight with Justin Wetzell and give me a 3-fight contract. Look, thank you, Mark. Thank you, LFA. Thank you for all that. But it's like you should have done that when I made my debut with LFA. But that's how it is. It's there's a little bit of favoritism, and it is what it is. But No, I honestly, I would have fought for any promotion. I just want, again, it goes back to I just want to get in the cage and compete. You know what I mean? That's the fun part about all this. I get the banners important, all that stuff, and of course the money in the banner that's is underneath is going to determine how much you get paid. But at the end of the day, I just want to compete, get in that cage against another man, and test my skills against his and see who's better. So, and it's a blessing because honestly, the LFA canvas and the LFA promotion, they're amazing. They run it so smooth, and I'm
Hmm.
actually happy that it's a full circle. I ended up coming back.
Yeah. When you were saying too, like, you wish they did like a little earlier, like that kind of like, does that drive you anymore? Do you need any like added motivation, like when you're gearing up for a fight? Like, how do you kind of, I guess, react to something like that?
I mean, it was whatever. I'm like, okay, now they're like, we're gonna give you the fight with Justin Wetzell on a 3-fight deal. I'm like, okay, I'm not mad at it. I won't need the free 3-fight deal. I'm gonna mess Wetzell up, and then I'll move back to the UFC or get on the Contender Series this year or whatever, you know. But yeah, it didn't really mess me up. I got enough motivation inside my heart. You know what I mean? I don't need no external push.
Yeah. When you look at like a guy like Wetzel too, what do you kind of see? Like, what's your kind of, I guess, like analysis of him?
I think he's originally a Midwest guy. No, he's from Iowa. So yeah, and now he's out in Denver, Colorado, training with them boys. Yeah, he's a nice guy. I mean, he was in my last LFA fight actually. He had a fight, and then his opponent the day of had Corona, and his fight got scrapped. So he got front row seats to the LFA
Okay.
event. He got to enjoy the show. You know what I mean? Got to see me fight 3 rounds, so that was cool. Yeah, but he's a nice guy. Never had a problem with him. I'm excited to get in there and share the cage with him. Compete
Yeah.
against him.
Is there a certain way, like when you're thinking about this fight, like you visualize like how it goes? Like, do you have like a certain outcome in your head?
Tell you the truth, I try not to like set myself up for stuff like that because life is so much about living in the moment and momental like shifts. I try not to worry about like I obviously you have to prepare your mind, think and mentally prepare yourself to be there. So when the moment does come, you're ready. But and the scenarios in your head obviously play out about how bad it could go, how good it could go. But I try not to get too attached. You know what I mean? To any scenario, I'm gonna be in there competing. I'm gonna try to put my fist through the back of his head and that's it on the ground,
Yeah.
on the feet, off my back, anyway. I try to, in a lot of my fights, 15 minutes, I try to do like I'm running on a treadmill on a 10 speed. I'm going 10 the whole time, for 15 minutes. So it's either you sink or swim.
Yeah. I know you already kind of mentioned like a possible chance like with UFC, contender series. Is that kind of like the end game here? Are you hoping maybe like a win over Wetzel will put you in that position?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. I'll be 12-1. That's a nice start. That's a nice record. 12-1. So it'll be cool. Yeah, I feel like it'll set me up back to get another shot. I really really don't want no late notice opportunity to the UFC. I don't want a 2 week. I don't want a 1 week. You know what I mean? Calling me talking about make weight. At least with this 3 weeks and a half. You know what I mean? Reasonable. You're like, okay, I can cruise down. Time to get on a nice little diet. But with the week notice, it's just so stressful on the body and like when I went for that fight week for the UFC, they had me running around doing all the medicals and stuff, and it was just such a headache. And cut weight and do this and do that, and then you know what I mean. Wait and make weight, thinking you have a fight, and then they pull the rug from underneath you without you not understanding why. You know what I mean? The doctor didn't even call me until after the event to explain. So I was like, I was confused. I was left in the dark since that morning of the fight.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to talk to you a little bit about that. Like, what were like the emotions too? Because I'm sure you were waiting for that UFC call for a long time. You finally get it, and like I know just by talking to a lot of the guys that got the call of the UFC on short notice, it's kind of like a whirlwind. It just happens all of a sudden the fight's there, but that didn't come for you. So like, what were like the emotions too? As far as like, I'm sure you went from probably the highest of highs to pretty low.
I mean, yeah, it's I obviously I get the phone call a week away. I was, you know what I mean. It was a life changing opportunity. I had to take it, and I was like, man, fight number 9 off the bat would be amazing. Test my skills and see if I can crack into the top 15 right away. Maybe change my life and everybody around me. But yeah, we show up. We do all the medical work. We do everything they need us to do. We do all the interviews. We do freaking the weigh-ins, everything. You know what I mean? And then the day of the fight, we wake up and USADA's at my door at 9 a.m. And it was my first time dealing with USADA, and I was trying to take care of them. Trying to pee in a cup and all that stuff. And I remember I was like, okay, let me warm up. And then as soon as I break a sweat, it was like 9 a.m. I'll break a sweat, and then I'll be able to pee for the USADA people. They were sitting there watching me crack mitts in the morning, warm up, right? And all my gear was on the side. The fight shorts, my trainers, clothes, and all that stuff was on the side, getting ready for us to put on. And at 9:15 a.m., we get a message from my manager talking about the doctors pulling the fight. You know what I mean? And didn't explain nothing. Just was like, yo, the doctors are pulling the fight. And of course, I broke. I was like, man, I can't believe this is happening. USADA left. You know what I mean? It was then just as fast as it came, it just moved. It left even faster. You know, and I was very confused, and we had to make a decision. It was either just sit in Vegas and wait for the doctor to call us or go home. And I'm like, I'm out of here. I went home, and the doctor called me and explained what was going on, and he required me to have to get a few other medical tests. You know what I mean? Done. So I went back to Chicago, got all the medical tests, got approved, got through them all, and that's one thing that I want to contact that doctor, that UFC doctor, and just be like, can you explain to me what happened exactly? Because you just told me I couldn't compete because of said something that was going on with my heart. I had to go get retested. I got retested. Everything was clear. Everything was all good. You know what I mean? Then what did he see? What I want to know what he saw, what happened that he felt the need to pull me. You know what I mean? That's what makes me
Yeah.
most upset. It's like if it was like something that I'd done or something that my corner done or like the corona or whatever, something that we'd be like, okay, that was the problem. But it's like to this day I still don't understand, what he saw and why he pulled that fight. So, but I guess it is what it is. Everything's written.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so weird too, because like obviously doesn't happen often, but I know there's a guy from New Jersey, Sean Santella. Something very similar happened to him too, way back when he was supposed to fight Wilson Hayes. I think was supposed to fight Demetrius Johnson for the belt. Demetrius Johnson ended up coming off the card, and then the same thing happened with him. He went through all the medicals, took it on short notice to fight Hayes, and it ended up not happening. I think they pulled him from the card too, and then he never even ended up going back to UFC, and has done
Wow.
really well since then too. But it's kind of strange. But for you too, like I know you say you want to talk to a doctor. Like, did you have any like conversations with like any like representatives from like the UFC or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean the doctor did eventually end up calling me, and how he explained
Okay.
was he goes, you have a heart condition or some shit going on with your heart where it's like one of the left valves is going in the opposite direction. You know what I mean? He's like, as long as you get tested, it's not to your detriment. So I obviously got tested and I'm clear. I've been training my whole life. I'm 26 years old. I've been training since I was 14, playing sports. Never had a heart problem. Never had no problem with my chest. Never felt no pain, no nothing. I've been through a million weight cuts. Made 125 before. You know what I mean? Never
Yeah.
had a problem. But he said that the only times he sees that is post heart surgery, which was insane because I've never had heart surgery, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what? He's like, that's the only time I've seen stuff like this, and he's like, that's what scared me, and I had to pull you from this fight. And I'm like, okay, but like, I'm like, why? I'm like, why me? I'm like, why is it like this happen? Why is this happening to me if I've never had heart surgery? I'm like, you know what I mean? And then when I came back to the Chicago doctor and we did all the tests again and we did all the stuff, I was cleared. He was like, you're
Yeah.
good. You're 100%. He's like, you can fight if you want. And I was like, what? I'm like, just like that? I'm like, that simple? Like, no, you didn't. You looked and there was no problem. He's like, yep, you're good. So I just want to kind of reach back to that doctor and be like, hey, can you look at this and just let me know? Obviously, I'm gonna give it that opportunity when I kick Justin Wetzell's butt and then ride over to the contender series, hopefully in the summer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just like it's so strange too, because like you said, like it was just like it's kind of like a bizarre thing. I get why they kind of pulled it, I guess, because if they don't see that very often, and it comes up kind of bizarre to them, I guess. But it's just weird that like with that like you technically like you didn't do anything wrong. You were willing to step up on short notice. It's just crazy to me that like the UFC still didn't say like, hey, like obviously this chance not gonna work out, but we'll see you down the road.
Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing is, Connor, is the day they called me that morning of, uh, my manager and Sean Shelby actually called my coach, and they made it sound like my career was over. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
were like, "Listen, we don't know if this guy's ever gonna fight again." You know what I mean? With this thing, the doctor found. The doctor was like making it sound like my career was over, and that's what broke my heart. I remember tearing up, thinking, I'm like, man, I came all the way up to this, and then they're gonna take my career away. That's insane. All this hard work, but yeah, it's like when we came back and got all the testing we done, we're all good, and I knew I was gonna be good. I knew there wasn't a problem. I knew this what was written for my story. You know what I mean? But yeah, they made it sound like it ended. So, and it was crazy. It's like I had an article for my signing, and I had an article about my release. So I was like, come on, dude. I'm like, it's about nothing. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. I'm like, I'll give my chance again. But the thing is, it didn't break me down or deter me or unmotivate me because at the end of the day, my goal is to fight. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
to compete in MMA, not just to compete under the UFC banner. Like, of course, I'm honored and it's a blessing to be able to compete under the UFC and make some money. But fist fighting is a blessing in itself. You know what I mean? I can still make I can live a happy and peaceful life working as a personal trainer, trying to open up my own gym, teach kids underneath me. You know what I mean? I could easily do that. That's an easy route for, you know what I mean? Any
Hmm.
any fighter or any mixed martial artist. But I'm living my life right now where I'm just helping a few people learn about martial arts, doing a few personal training sessions, but focus solely on fighting.
Yeah. One last like thing on this too. You were talking about how initially you thought maybe like people were kind of telling you your career might be over, so you kind of thought that too. Like, how long did you go until you were like, my career's not over? Like, how long was it to kind of like dealing with that?
0 seconds. Zero.
Okay.
Literally. I was listen, we were flying back to Chicago and my coach was looking at me like, as soon as you get back, you're gonna go get this testing. I was like, listen, I'm already scheduling it right now. I already found the heart care center in Chicago. We're scheduling everything we need this week. That week I went, I did a heart test, stress test, they called it, a stress test, exercise stress test, where they put me on a treadmill and they had me run until my heart rate hit 180. I did that. I did everything they needed me to do, the heart murmur and all that stuff, and I passed everything. And I knew it during the process. I wasn't gonna quit it. Listen, even if they told me your heart's messed up, I would go to the Indian reserves and fight. You know what I mean? Where they're not doing any testing. I'm like, I don't care about that. I'd rather die in that cage with that heart, with some crazy shit than to not be able to compete. Come on, that didn't even cross my mind, not competing ever again.
Yeah, for sure. And then before they go too, I mean, anything else that you kind of been up to, maybe even outside the cage, anything like new, maybe learn anything lately, pick up any new hobbies, anything like that?
I mean, nothing really crazy. The last couple of years, all I've been doing is just working on myself. I've been learning how to cook. Obviously, I love cooking. I've been cooking as much as I can. I cook for myself, especially during my diets. I love food. You know what I mean? I'm a big foodie. I go to the different restaurants in the city with my fiance. We like to eat different, you know what I mean? Try to experiment different foods. And she loves leaving. She's honestly one of the top rated people. She leaves Google reviews. Instead of making TikToks or Instagram videos, she just like leaves. She has some of the highest rated pictures under just Google reviews. So
Wow.
if you ever use Google for recommendation in Chicago and you see some nice pictures of food, know who it is. You know what I mean?
All right, cool.
Yeah, so she does that. It's pretty crazy. Every single time we go to a restaurant, she'll take a picture of the restaurant and end up putting it on the front page of their, you know what I mean? Because the picture is so nice. But that's one thing I've been doing. And other than that, personal training, teaching people about martial arts, teaching people about boxing, kickboxing. I love doing that. I love, you know what I mean? Trying to push the youth. At my gym, we have a lot of nice little kids that are like looking to compete and do their thing in kickboxing, jiu-jitsu. So I've been trying to help those guys push it, just inspire people to reach their goals. And yeah, the same old thing, you know what I mean? I've been just working on myself daily and trying to get better at fighting.
Yeah. So coaching is like a clear route for you. Well, once you're done.
Yes. I wanna when I'm done with my fight career, I wanna create the path for kids like me, you know what I mean? And honestly, young men like me to see a clearer path. That's one thing. On my way coming up, it's like my path wasn't so clear. It's like I'm going on the fly. Obviously, I have my coaches and my mentors and stuff, and my brothers around me that push me and guide me in certain directions. But at the end of the day, I'm just pushing it any way I could push it. I kind of like trailblazing my own way. And eventually, when I have my feet set under me and my career and my legacy, I want to look back and see the kids that are in my position now, and I want to guide them to the right direction, so they don't feel like they're wasting time or not knowing. You know what I mean? A lot of these kids are like looking for competition and they don't know who to talk to. It's like I want to be the guy to be like setting them up. Be like, you don't need to talk to that shiesty manager or that shiesty promoter. I'm like, I'll set your fights up. You know what I mean? From a fighter to a fighter, make sure your career goes right and it's protected the right way without you getting lowballed anywhere.
Yeah, kind of like a Tyson Chartier approach too. I know he trains those guys and also manages them too. And hey, Rafon just picked up a big win, so
exactly. Yes, that's a perfect example. I love those guys. The Boston Cartel. Those guys are cool.
Yeah, very cool. All right, well, thank you so much time for Askar. Anything you want to say before I let you go? The floor is yours.
Yeah, shout out to everybody that's helped me train at MTC. My boys got fights too. I got four of my teammates fighting the day after me. Alex Mago, Justin Loveridge, my teammate Nikki, and then Chris Sanchez. They're all fighting the day after me. So I'm going to get a dub Friday night at Oklahoma. Then I'm going to fly back to Chicago and watch them compete the day after. So shout out to them and shout out to all my teammates, my brothers, Asif and Motaz, my coach Alex Trujillo and my coach Barry. Hopping there, honestly, without them, I don't know where I would be.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy weekend, it sounds like, for you.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be terrible. And then Sunday, you know what I mean? I got to go see the in-laws on Sunday, too. So, it's going to be a super busy weekend.
Yeah. And then probably like a Google review or something on Monday, maybe.
There will be definitely a few Google reviews the week after when we're smashing food at different restaurants throughout the week. I'm going to plan out the list, and then she's going to